Hello everyone, today I want to show you LaserCalc, which is our load calculation software for heating and air conditioning. It's available in our AirMatch product, and it's also available as a standalone application. It runs on Windows, Mac, and iPads. It's based on ACCA's 8th edition, which has been very accurate for us. We've never actually had a complaint about a load calc not being accurate when using our LaserCalc software, so it should serve you very well for all your load calculations. The step one after you've logged into AirMatch is you want to create a new client if you haven't already created a client to use for this load calc. So we'll just click the blue plus button on the bottom right and enter our basic client information. If I start typing an address, it auto-completes using Google Maps, so that saves us a little bit of typing. And when you're done, you just click the green Done button on the bottom right to save that client. And then we can look on the top bar where we have LaserCalc as one of our available icons. The first step you're going to do is you're going to select the design state and design city. So this is used to get the winter and summer temperatures and offsets for doing the load calculation. The best thing to do is to pick not always the geographically closest city to you, but the one with the absolute closest climate. So I happen to be in the Sacramento area, so that makes it easy. But let's say I was in Half Moon Bay, and I can't find Half Moon Bay here. Half Moon Bay, California is right on the ocean, and it's a very cool, foggy climate. So San Jose may physically be the closest city that we have listed on this list, but the climate in San Jose is much warmer because it's directly inland from Half Moon Bay, much hotter. So you'd probably want to pick San Francisco or Monterey or Salinas, one of those cities that's actually a very similar coastal climate to what Half Moon Bay offers. So try to go geographically close, but climate is the more important part. Once I pick my state and city, it shows me the design temperatures. So this is what it considers the typical average low temperature and average high temperature for that city. If you feel that this number is not accurate, so let's say we pick Sacramento, it says 98. Let's say you want to build a load calc that keeps the home very cool in the summer and handles the very, very hot summers that we have in Sacramento. You could override this value and change it to, let's say, 104 degrees. We do warn you, though, that when you change this, you are overriding the defaults, and we're not responsible for whether you've thrown off the calculations that might be needed. Also, if you go over 114 degrees, it will give you a message saying that 114 is the maximum allowed here, and that has to do with the math that we use to calculate the load calc. The highest temperature you can go is 114. But let's return this back to the default value, and that will help us get the most accurate from what the city values are that are built in. Once we've got our temperature worked out, we go down to the house details. First of all, you have the construction type. Typically, you want to choose average or tight. Loose is for situations where there's very poor construction, a lot of leaking of air between the seams and in the framing of the house. This will give you a very high load calc expectation for cooling and everything. So you typically want to choose one of these other values. Let's say it's a newer home and we choose tight construction. For floor type, we have carpet, slab, and wooden vinyl, plus the R values for those. So let's just say we have a carpet raised floor with fairly good insulation. For ceiling type, it's similar. We have vented and unvented, and then we have R values for those. For the wall type, we have brick, cement/block, stucco, and wooden vinyl frame. So if I have a stucco, you can choose the appropriate R value. For the window type, we have double pane, low E, wooden vinyl, metal, and triple pane. Double pane and single pane will make a big difference. Triple is not going to be a drastic difference over double pane, but it will make a slight difference in the load calculation. But you do want to select whether it's low E or not low E. Typically, homes built in the late 80s, 90s tend to be low E glass. So if anyone's done their windows since then, most likely they have low E. So if you're not sure, that's a good metric to go by. Very similar with skylights. A lot of people don't have skylights, so you typically pick none. But if you do want to pick from one of these values, we've got double pane and low E. Under appliances, we want to select how many major appliances we have that will impact the heating and cooling of the home. So let's say we have 3 major appliances that impact that. For the duct location, we're going to say attic, but you've got the option of a duct that's inside the air-conditioned space of the home or something that's in the crawl space or basement. So once we're done with this page, we can either go to one of the tabs and move on to the measurements, or you can use the next arrow down at the bottom. If you wanted to add an additional load calc for this person, you've also got the plus button. So if you wanted to do 2 different load calcs, let's say they have an ADU or they have a second home, you can always do that without creating a new client. So once I move on, I get to the page with all the big fields. So this is our measurements page. And obviously this is a bit overwhelming. There's a ton of fields here to fill in. If you just want the basic load calc, you just want to know the overall tonnage, the overall BTU value for the heating, you can just fill out this first row. Just put the total room size for all combined rooms, put the total exposed wall length for all the walls in the house, etc., etc. Total up your windows that are north facing, your windows that are south facing, and just put a single value for all these and leave all the other rows blank. That will still work correctly. It won't give you the room by room report. So obviously if you are doing a mini split and you want to know, okay, the upstairs bedroom has a higher load, will require a larger indoor unit than maybe a downstairs bedroom. That's the type of information where you want to fill out each of these rooms and give the detail for all these rooms. But if you want to save a little time, you could just put everything in the first row. In order to navigate these, we do have some keyboard shortcuts to just make it quicker because you've got a lot of fields to go through. So you can just hit Tab to go forward. You can hit Shift Tab to go backwards. This is obviously if you're on a laptop, not so much on the iPad, unless you connect a keyboard to your iPad. And then you can also use the down and up arrows on your keyboard to navigate up and down. So if you just want to do room size first, you could type a value, go down, enter the room size for all those values, and that'll make it a little bit easier. If you ever forget these keyboard shortcuts, just scroll to the bottom here and you can see we have a key along the bottom that shows you what the keyboard shortcuts are. Tab is a very standard, obviously you're probably used to that with tabbing through various fields in a form, but if you forget that you can use the arrow keys, that key may help you. You can also change the name of the rooms. So instead of having bedroom 1, 2, 3, 4, if you want to actually go in and change this to upstairs main bedroom, you can type that value. You could name these whatever you'd like, and then when you're done editing those, you can just click done. And that saves that name, so that way when you're going to the room by room report, you can remember, oh, that's John's bedroom, that's Susan's bedroom. A little bit easier to keep track instead of just bedroom 1, 2, 3, 4. As you enter values in here, you will see the total square footage along the top change. So if I have a family room that's 200 square feet, it's going to total all up all the different square footages for those rooms. So these are all various values we need to record: the size of the room, the exposed walls, average ceiling height, etc. We do default to 8 feet for the average ceiling height since that's by far the most common. And then you can separate the window area by which way the window is facing. So this will give you a more accurate load calc by knowing how much sun exposure you would have for those different windows. Again, if you're doing a whole house, you would want to figure out all the north-facing windows, total up their area or their square footage, and put that value in this field. So if you have a 3x4 window, you end up multiplying those two numbers, put that value in here. So this is a quantity of skylights that you have. Then you have how many electronics that you have in that room. If you have a computer that creates heat, or if you have other devices that create heat, you can add those here. And then the number of people that typically occupy that room. Once you've completed this page, you're ready to go on and look at your overall report. So let's just put a couple values in here just so that we've got some information so we don't end up blank everywhere when we get to the report. So when we move on, we get to the reports. And here we see the overall load calculation report, which has your customer information, has a basic summary of the fields you've entered about the home. Then it has your design city information with the minimum and maximum temperatures, the humidity for that area, shows the total square footage, and then this breaks down all the different values that you need for this particular load calculation. We still need to enter some more information to make this more accurate, but we have gotten a basic summary of a 2.5 ton cooling load and a 29,000 BTU heating load. We won't get much of a room by room report, but there is another report that shows you a breakdown: living room, family room, kitchen, and this will give you the cooling and heating CFMs for those different rooms. So this, again, super powerful if you want to do a mini split and you want to figure out the CFM load that you have in those various rooms. These reports can be saved as PDFs, or you can print them. If you're on an iPad, you can share this document. So you could text it immediately to a client. You could text it to someone back at your office. You could save it. You can actually mark up the document. So if you wanted to circle something and then share that marked up PDF with the client, you can do that. It's very flexible about how you share that document once you've completed it. So now that you've done a load calc for this particular client, you can now, again, do an additional load calc. If they have another home or if they have a completely separate building you wanted to do a separate load calc for. This gives you a very powerful way to very quickly do load calculations for all of your clients. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to contact us at support@imageandtech.com. And we hope you have a lot of luck doing load calcs for all of your heating and air jobs.